the grandchildren's names down there. And I had all the great-grandchildren, and I didn't do, yeah, they got that.
Oh, goodness.
Well, it's hard to remember. I couldn't remember one of Robert's Wilcox's at first. I had forgotten what Madison's name was, and I thought, Frankie and Simone, I couldn't remember Madison, but 36 of them,
It's a lot.
that's a lot.
Sure is. Well, just so we know, what is your full name? I call you Mema, but what's your
Dolores Adele Reed Wilcox.
And did you have brothers and sisters? Do you have brothers and sisters? You do.
I had 10 brothers and 9, and then one half brother.
And where were you in the birth order?
Oh, I was 5th child.
5th child. So right in the middle.
Right in the middle of the two.
What time of day were you born? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. I
don't?
never heard anybody
Never
say.
heard. Were you born in a hospital?
No, I was born at home.
At home.
On Catherine Street.
Wow. Who delivered you?
Dr. Edward Draper.
Was he a family doctor that you guys knew, or
He was our family doctor
But that was here in Mobile.
in Mobile.
Was there any unusual or interesting stories about when you were born?
No,
No complications.
no.
Okay. Were you named after someone?
Yes, my Aunt Adele McGuire Dolan was named after her.
Was she someone that was really close to your family?
Well, she was my mother's sister-in-law. She was married to my Uncle James Dolan, Jim Dolan.
Did you know her growing up?
Yeah. She was real proud of me being named after her. And then she had one child, was Ruby Estelle Dolan, and she was 9 months younger than me. And we then after we kind of grew apart after years went by. But she was our only first cousin that we had till I was 7 years old, and then we got another one. But all of us, we only had one first cousin.
Oh, wow.
She was the only one.
What family relatives were you closest to growing up? Did you have other aunts or uncles, or?
When my oldest brother was born, my grandmother was living then, and she died when one of my aunts was only 2 years old, and then my oldest brother was 2, and so Mama raised them. One was 6, I think. Aunt Flo was 6, and they always lived with us. So she had my brother, 2, and then she had a little sister that was, well, she wasn't little. They were, I think, teenagers then. But when my grandmother died, she had a brother, 2 sisters. Jack was 2, and then Bootsy came 2 years later. I don't know how she did it. She had about 5 little ones there. But she did, at that time, you could have a help. She had a maid. And then, but.
So it was a busy household.
Yeah. So we always had a big household.
Does it seem like back then that families were larger than they are now?
Well, I guess they were. But families could more than one family could live together. I mean, because my grandfather lived with us, and then later years he remarried. But those two aunts, well, one was 14 when let's see, how old was she? Anyway, my Aunt Fanny Bell was older than Ruth and Florence. They always lived with us. And then she went in training for a registered nurse and got her own apartment. And when she was about, I think she was about 28, she married. But the other two didn't marry for years. One never did marry. She just died about 2 or 3 years ago, my Aunt Ruth. She was about 96. She died in Chicago.
Wow. Do you remember as a child, were you a happy child, or did you have worries? Do you remember anything that you worried about a lot, or?
I didn't like I didn't like lightning or thunder. I don't know why I was afraid. I'd hide under a bed or something. I remember doing that.
Really?
And I really didn't like my younger sister very much because she bothered me so. She wasn't that much younger, but she was kind of pesky. She was 3 years younger. That was we called her Betty, but her name was really Isabel Jane. Hughes. But we never did argue or anything. Now my two older sisters did. They argued from day to, no one else could say anything about them, but they were jealous of one another, I guess. Mary Elizabeth and Sarah Frances, which was Auntie. You can imagine somebody. But she was, they could do everything. But Mary Elizabeth, her nickname was Bootsy. She could, I don't know where she got I guess my mother sewed and all, but she could do she made bedding and almost all of our clothes. And then Frankie would draw pictures and say, you can do it. So just get the scissors and cut it out. Frankie couldn't do it herself, but she could tell other people how to do it. And Bootsy was really talented with it. And she could crochet, knit. The way she learned it, I don't know.
Did she learn from your mother?
Well, my mother could.
Did you learn a lot from them? Were you close to your brothers and sisters?
We were pretty close growing up.
Were you a healthy child?
I guess I was.
No childhood diseases or
surgeries? Not as a child. I had stitches because I cut my eye open crawling over a barbed wire fence right across the street on Dilson Street. There was a fence there, and I wanted to go with the older ones. I can remember that. I think I was about not quite 3. And I can remember crying to go with them. They didn't take me. So I just decided I'd crawl over, and then Dr. Draper had to come out and sew me up. And then I fell and a pig bit me when I was, and I don't think anybody's ever been bitten by a pig. But this was when I was in 1st grade, came home, and I had a sweet potato. Mama always had things cooked for us when we got home from school, because we didn't have electric lights, and it got dark pretty early. And she had a wood stove, so they would stay hot. I don't know whether you ever saw a wood stove with the oven, an iron one. Well, you could put things in there, and that would stay hot a long time. And he wanted that sweet potato, so he just bit me right in the stomach. So, and then, let's see, what else?
Well, so was this a family pet, the pig, or was this?
That was my sister Bootsy. She had a goat, a pig, a cow. She milked a cow. These were all her pets. She was 8 years older than me, so see, she was a teenager and she could milk the cow. And those were her pets. She had a dog, a bulldog. She just liked animals, I guess.
Well, did you guys have a really big yard, or
We
did you
had,
have,
well,
and what was your home like? Just
Well,
tell me
we
about
had-
your house and your yard.
we were, well, I was 9 months old when we moved to Spring Hill, and we were in about 500 feet back, I guess, and 100-foot front. And it was a wooden frame house on Dilson Street. I lived there till I think I was 13 or 14. And then my aunt, the one that was a registered nurse, she decided she'd like to come back to Spring Hill to live. So we moved out. She rented us a house on, first house was on Lafayette Street, I think, North Lafayette Street. And then in the meantime, my father got real ill. He had tuberculosis and some kind of bone disease too. I don't know whether it was in his bones, but he had to quit work. And he was in a rest hospital for a while, and then he was only 57 when he died. And so then we moved from there to 2 or 3 different places in town, rental houses. But the house at Spring Hill was bought for my mother by my Uncle Jim. He bought the house on Dilson Street, but he bought it in my grandfather's name. So that was why it was really, he bought it and paid for it, and it was our house for 14 years, and they didn't want to live that far out at Spring Hill. My mother just loved it. So, well, what happened, the house, they lived down at the foot of the hill where those apartments are, and the house caught on fire and burned, so they came up to our house to just live for a while, and they decided they liked it, that part of Spring Hill. So they said, well, we'll just rent your house. So Mama said, all right. So we moved out.
Wow.
And that really was kind of a sad day.
I'll bet.
But see, it was right. Bobby's house kind of backs up to where our house was, right in the middle of Dilson Street. Well, there was one house on the corner, and we were in the middle, and then another house was on the other side. And so we all went to Mary B. Austin School in the lower grades, and then I went to the Cathedral School downtown in the 3rd grade. Betty and I both started going down there. We went back and forth with one of the neighbors that lived next door. He drove us there, and we rode the streetcar home. Shell Road wasn't paved, and we had a streetcar line on Spring Hill Avenue, and
A streetcar.
a trolley car,
Wow.
like I have in New Orleans. Had a conductor and a motorman.
Right here in Mobile.
Yep.
Wow.
You didn't know we had that. Well, the line, they should not have ever taken up all the tracks on Spring Hill Avenue. They shouldn't have, because that was, New Orleans kept theirs, you know.
Wow.